from Sarah Bright Fly Fishing Guide Service. I teach, guide, write, and lecture on fly fishing in the Eastern Sierra since 1982. Let's get to this week's fly fishing report. Well, we're getting a little bit of wind, but we're supposed to be right back into a warm, dry period. We really need some water, but in the meantime, it's making for some really warm, fun fishing days, particularly down here in the Owens Valley. Well, let's get to the Lower Owens Wild Trout section, and that's from Pleasant Valley Dam to Five Bridges Road. In this section, the blue-wing olive hatch, which is a mayfly, is just starting to come up and the fish are reacting to it. I'm fishing areas where I don't see a lot of fish rising, but I'm fishing dry flies and the fish are coming up and taking those dry flies. I'm using size 16 and 18, blue-wing olive parachutes and Adams parachutes. But most of the fishing is nymphing with beadhead flashback pheasant tail nymphs and olive quilligons. All right, let's head up the hill and let's go over to Hot Creek Interpretive Site in the canyon. Both of those are being accessed across the snow. Well, the snow's melted enough people have walked in this area that you can just walk in with your waders on and boots across the packed snow and get out to the water. Going into the canyon, be a little careful going down. There's a few icy spots that you can slip and slide. But otherwise, pretty easy access, a little over a mile to walk in to the canyon. Both areas are fishing about the same. With this warmer weather, there's been blue-wing olives coming off middle of the day, along with the midges, which we've been seeing all winter. For the midges, I'm using nymphs, size 18 to 22, tiger midges, zebra midges, blood midges, and then for the merger patterns, I'm using things like the Manhattan midge and the secret midge. For the dry flies, we're using blue-wing olive parachutes, and we're also using Adams parachutes, both to fool the fish and to drop the dry nymph off of the dry fly in a dry and dropper situation. All right, over to the Upper Owens. That area has been getting pounded on the weekends. The guides that have the snowmobiles are beating everybody out and controlling the good waters, the big deep pools where most of the fish are stacked up. Fish that are in there right now are definitely trophy trout. They're getting a fair number of fish up to the 25-inch range. We're fishing them with nymphs, bigger nymphs, size 12, bead-headed patterns, primarily the Euro-style flies, using the stoner nymph, the gold-ribbed hare's ear, and then the green gold wired prince nymph in the jigged version. And we're working those down deep, right on the bottom, in the deep holes, runs, and cut banks where those big trophy trout are resting and feeding. All right, let's head on down the hill to Bishop Creek Canal. The water's really low and clear, and the fish are super spooky. So I'm using longer 40, 50-foot casts with a dry and a dropper so that I'm not spooking the fish. You can get up to them if you sneak and you stay behind them, but if you walk up on them, you'll see every fish split. The canal's a fun little place to fish. It's great for beginners. It's a great spot to work on fly fishing technique and improve your technique and your style of fly fishing. Well, this is this week's Fly Fishing Report, brought to you by Fred Rowe from Sarah Bright Fly Fishing Guide Service. We can be found on Instagram and on Facebook.